Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I got my hair almost dry.
Yeah, me too. That's it looks like the illusion is that the top is dry, but it's not totally dry.
Perfect and wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I think we might be getting a
Let's
little
see.
delay,
Your
so I'll make
audio is
sure
a little
to,
off.
yeah, I think that mine's just a little bit delayed.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
So I'll just make sure to, yeah, I can hear you fine. I'll just talk slowly.
Okay.
So, how are you feeling? I'm wondering, I'm like, is she going to go into labor as we're speaking, basically?
I know. I hope so. That would be a great plan. Thanks for having me. This is probably the last time I'm going to wear
Yes.
makeup before I have a baby, so
Hey,
it's really exciting.
I'm
Um,
honored.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling
So
today I
let's
feel okay.
Good. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on for people who don't know you or me that are joining in. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, like what's going on with you right now?
Yeah, so I'm currently 39 weeks and 2 days pregnant. We are in Santa Monica in quarantine, my husband and I, and our Bernedoodle, who's right on the floor next to me. She'll probably get in here in a minute.
Perfect.
And I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a mobility coach and CrossFit coach and a pre and postnatal yoga teacher as well. So I met you through the LA movement world, and you've been instrumental in my pregnancy journey. Um, and yeah, I up until a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, we had this big plan for kind of a birth party where you were going to be involved and our
I'm so
trusty
sad.
pelvic floor PT. We were going to have Kimmy Moss, who's our breath coach and really good friend. We were going to have video and our doula, our amazing doula, Emily Stanwyck, who has been incredible. And we were just planning for a big, like, labor at home as long as we can, birth, and then go to the hospital. And that has just slowly unraveled as this whole COVID thing has unfolded. So I feel like every day a piece of the plan changes. And so it's just like the constant being in a state of like, I guess you're never in control when you're giving birth, but now it's like you're really not in control. So,
Oh, let's talk like before COVID happened, were all the different things that you were doing to help prepare yourself for birth?
yeah, I think that's been the biggest thing is uh, I had a lot of tools in my tool belts that were helping me so much, including you. I was seeing you for weekly appointments because since early pregnancy, I've just had a lot of discomfort. I had pubic symphysis dysfunction, which is basically like a lot of extra weight on the pelvic floor that's been ongoing. And I've had some numbness, like some nerve numbness from the baby pressing on me. And so I've been going to see you for pelvic floor PT once a week, been going to acupuncture. I've been training very regularly at Du's Gym in Venice with a group of women who have all had their babies now. We were like a
You're the last.
cohort. Yeah, I'm the last one. I was like, what am I gonna do when you all have your babies? But they all had their babies, and we trained together from pretty much I think the beginning of my second trimester. I started training with them, and
Mm.
we worked out together, and then we had a small prenatal group at the gym. And then in addition to that, I was going to regular prenatal yoga classes with Gigi and Patty at Yoga Works, and just trying to be as much in community and just having like a normal life, getting my nails done and like feeling like I was feeling good in my body. And I know it sounds superficial, but like to go into birth, like not knowing when my eyebrows are going to be done again is like a really weighing on me.
Those
Um,
birth photos, you
but
know, like,
yeah, and so yeah, I was trying to just do like as much maintenance as possible. And then the last, what's been kind of crazy is I got sick with bronchitis like
mhm,
maybe 2 or 3 weeks before the quarantine happened. So I was already sort of not doing those things, and then the quarantine happened, and so I've just been for probably almost 2 months. I haven't really done anything that I was doing before to
yeah,
prepare. So I feel like I'm just like, we've done telesessions, and I'm
mhm,
trying to rely on like my body of knowledge that I know, but it's easy to teach people how to do something. It's harder to do it on
do.
yourself. So especially when you're just like stuck in the house. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's been a big shift is you having to do a lot of your own self-care at home. And so, you and I have been doing virtual sessions, and do you mind me talking about that a little bit?
Oh, no, no, not at all.
So, one of the things that people have been asking a lot from my end is like, what can we be actually accomplishing in a virtual session? And for you, it's like we're doing a lot of manual hands-on therapy before you got sick and then before quarantine happened. And since then, we've been shifting to like what are self-care things you can do for home. And like one of them was like learning how to do for you and your husband to be doing perineal stretching and massage on yourself at home, which is something that we routinely teach in the clinic. But um, I think that, from what you guys have said, like it actually has gone pretty well for you to do it on your own. And for other mamas, knowing that, like, if I'm pregnant right now, and this is something I'm interested in knowing, it's something that you can learn, I think is pretty integral. And also getting your partner involved in helping with some of the other aspects of manual therapy that maybe you can't do for yourself. And fortunately, you have a very supportive guy
Yeah.
who's been helping you and cooking for you,
Yes,
which is,
I mean, that's really been the silver lining of this whole situation is that we've been spending a lot of time together and just getting things organized. And I mean, I don't think if this hadn't happened, I don't think he would have been down for like perennial stretching and but like I've been like go see Heidi, So there's just been a
necessity.
whole yeah, the whole unfolding of new skills happening. But
Mhm.
he won't stop baking is the other thing. So I'm like this baby's gonna come out with like chocolate chip cookies and muffins and
I
so
feel like we should post this like time storyline of your life, like working out like with sledgehammers at Deuce, and then like doing your at-home workouts. Like, so that's something like let's talk about that. Like, you've been continuing to work out at home, and you've been following along with like a lot of home programming. And fortunately, with your background, you knew how to do some modifications with those things, but you've been still training at home and trying to stay fit and strong, and that's been fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we're really lucky because we have enough equipment
Hmm.
in our house that we can kind of have like a modified home gym in our drive, and we have a driveway and a garage.
Yeah.
So that's been great. And because a lot of the at-home workouts are kind of all body weight, which at this point, like
Hmm.
I can't do burpees. I'm not gonna do a lot, like I can't do sit-ups and hollow rocks and things like that. So I've been like basically following along with the Deuce Gym programming and modifying it to fit with what I need that day. And I've like yesterday, I mean, at this point, at first I was like putting my sports bra on and going out with sneakers in the garage and doing the whole thing. At this point, I'm so swollen and I'm like over 39 weeks pregnant now. So I'm just like in my pajamas in the living room. Like I'm like, forget about the
Barefoot.
sports bra, like in flip flops. It's like, and then I was like, I don't know how people go to the gym at 39 weeks pregnant anyway, because it's but so yeah, I've just been trying to stay active as much as I can. It helps with my brain and feel
Mm,
prepared for the unknown and the unknowable.
yeah. And so speaking of that, like I know something else you were working on before this is you were doing some really cool breath work with a prenatal group with Kimmy Moss, who we're both friends with. And Kimmy and I are going to be talking about breath work next week, which would be
Oh,
awesome.
awesome.
So
Yay.
she's coming on. And but can you talk about a little bit just from your perspective, because that'll really feed in well with what she and I are talking about next week about some modifications you've been making for doing breath work for calming and kind of keeping the anxiety down and just helping to, kind of work your way through this because the anxiety is obviously really high. This is all new territory for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I come into this just already like an anxious person. So to have like just generalized anxiety plus the anxiety of the world right now is a lot. And Kimmy, I've had so many breath teachers over the years being a yoga teacher and studying breath work and pranayama. And Kimmy is like the best of the best. And she just gives it to you so accessibly and real. And when I first, so we moved to Los Angeles when I was at the beginning of my second trimester, and instantly, I think within the first week, Kimmy was like, "I want to start this group for you mamas and do breath work to prepare you and do some." We also did some cold exposure too, a lot of ice work
Mhm.
with hands and feet,
Not
and
bellies.
no bellies, no like submerging in the ice, but she um, she a lot of the breath we were doing was down regulating breaths. So
Mhm.
long exhales, kind of like blowing out the exhale
Mhm.
and hold short holds at the end of the exhale, mostly nasal breathing. So in through the nose, out through the nose, things that just calm the nervous system. Nothing too like long or intense with holding, just really like trying to get the nervous system to settle. And
Mhm.
it was when we had those groups, those were some of the only times, and this was way before COVID. I was already having pregnancy anxiety, and those groups, like once a week, were some of the only times I just like fell into deep relaxation and then could sleep that night. So Kimmy's been still doing Zoom sessions, which is awesome, and checking in with us. And I've been trying to do the breath work as much as I can. I've been doing the breath work when we do the perineal stretching so that
Good.
relax the pelvic floor, which is, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to
I'm
do
like partying for
diaphragmatic
you.
breathing when you have a weight vest.
Right?
I get all the gold stars.
You get every gold star. Yeah, you've got like literally like something pressing right on your diaphragm that makes it a little hard to get that thing to
It's
expand. But
crazy. I'm like, I can't believe all the years I told pregnant women in my classes to breathe into their diaphragm. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't
now
work.
you know.
I'm like, there's no space there.
And that'll be no, that's going to be really great, like knowledge for after this when you start doing postnatal yoga classes and I start, making you collaborate with me more.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean,
be
I feel like pretty much all the things that I learned and told people before. Yeah, no, I'm not going to teach that anymore.
making a shift.
Yeah.
But like let's in LA as far as what you know. Because this has been changing really rapidly. So currently, what are you guys being told that you can and can't do?
So as of today, we are allowed one person in labor and delivery.
Hmm.
So we're birthing at St. John's Hospital in Santa Monica. But this is now a countywide thing for all hospitals and all birth centers in
Hmm.
LA County. You're allowed one support person in labor and delivery. So that means that your partner or doula, whoever you select, comes with you, and they can stay in the room until 2 hours after the baby is born, and then
Okay.
they are not allowed to come into postpartum with you. So the the other thing that I learned in my appointment on Wednesday when I had my 39-week checkup was that um, it is possible that they'll test you for COVID
Okay.
upon arrival.
Hmm.
And now at St. John's, they do have a rapid test. That's a new
Okay.
thing. I don't know if all the hospitals in LA have them, But if you're showing any symptoms, because I have a lingering cough, so
Right.
if you're
That
showing any
bronchitis.
symptoms that could be somehow related, then they might test you, and that's up to the discretion of the infectious disease doctor who's on site at that time.
Okay.
I asked if I could get a test earlier. They said that my symptoms are not
Severe
enough
enough.
to get a test earlier.
Yeah.
So it's just like an in the moment thing. The good news is that they have the rapid tests, because what's been happening is there's been a few women who've come in with coughs, tested negative, but their test results haven't come back before the baby's born.
Right.
So they quarantine the baby already. So that's like the thing that's giving the most anxiety right now, is like just
Hmm.
the possibility that I could do a test and then they could take the baby. That's which I don't
Okay.
have any reason to believe that's going to happen, but that's like
Yeah. It's an anxiety, a fear.
that's a real thing. So
So if you test positively, then they take the baby in quarantine, which means you don't get the immediate skin on skin bonding time, that
so
you're not doing breastfeeding. Is that kind of what I'm understanding?
that's my understanding, but then it really is changing like by the minute, because
Hmm.
there was also just the American, I think it was the American Pediatric Society, like just yesterday or a day or two ago, said to make it on a case by case basis.
Okay.
So like for someone like me I've been coughing for like 8 weeks. So it's like
Yeah.
if I had COVID, I probably already, so
Hmm.
it's sort of, there's a lot of gray area as far as
Okay.
what happens. But the good news is there's rapid tests. The bad news is the problem is there's not enough rapid tests. If there were enough rapid
Sure.
tests, then doulas could come to the hospital, dads could come to
Yes.
postpartum, because
Right.
they could just do the test and that would be
Hmm.
fine. But the federal government's not releasing enough tests. And so
Okay.
that's why my OB was basically like, it's a shit show. Like they're not prepared for what's going
Yeah.
on.
Honesty.
Yeah, and I mean, she's been really like, I really appreciate her, because I mean, she's a Western doctor in a hospital, and
Hmm.
she's been super candid the whole time. Like
Okay.
this is a mess, and we don't. And she just 2 appointments ago, she was like, we don't want to separate, like we don't want the tears of like a father or partner to not be able to come to postpartum. Like that's like
Right.
not what we want to do. The nurses don't want to have that. Like this is not an ideal situation for anybody. So
Right.
I feel like there's been a lot of um, like judgment and anger around hospital births, and just like
Hmm.
everybody pushing towards home births and natural midwives, which I totally support as
Hmm.
well. But from my perspective, being in the hospital system, I feel like there's a lot of compassion and people trying to make it the right situation in a really challenging time as well. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
Well, and that's something that, I think we can agree that after birth, that you don't just deliver and then you don't need any support anymore as a new mom. It's like that afterwards time, like you still need the support. And usually you can have a partner or a doula or somebody with you, but that imparts a lot more burden, on the nurses and other hospital support staff because you need that support afterwards. And that's got to be placing a lot more burden on them too.
Right, totally. And I think it's just tough for everyone, because
Hmm.
being a first time mom, like I want Kevin to be in the room when they teach us, like when they show how to breastfeed and how to
Yeah.
swaddle, and do, and just like
Put a
how
diaper
to
on.
take the baby. Yeah, because like we have to come home. I mean, like when we leave the hospital, we don't have any family, we don't have any like postpartum support in the house. It's just going to be the two of
Hmm.
us, and I mean, we've raised a very amazing dog, but we've never raised a baby. So, I mean, I'm sure Kevin keeps being like, idiots raise babies, so it shouldn't be too hard. But like, we've never done it. So I mean, I think like having that, having that, that support and that presence is just to not have that feels so crazy. And I was trying to get out of the hospital like in a couple of hours, but
Hmm.
they the pediatricians need you to stay for at least 24 hours for like jaundice tests and stuff like that. So
Okay.
yeah,
So
so
there'll be at
we'll,
least that window where you'll be kind of there solo at this point. So Zoom
yeah,
calls, man.
I know. I'm
Well,
going to
well,
zoom the birth party.
please do. I'm
Yeah.
like, I will talk to you at 3 in the morning
Yeah.
after. We can take like shifts with you through labor, you know, to, oh, so like on that note, is Emily going to be able to come and labor with you at home as long as possible, your doula?
Yeah, so that's the plan. Embo's gonna come and be here at the house for as long as
Mm,
possible,
okay,
and we're just gonna go at the last possible minute as long as there's
okay,
no complications or
got
that's
it.
so hopefully I go into natural labor and I can just labor at home as long as I can. And then we'll transfer to her virtually. So at the hospital.
Okay.
That's that's our current that's our current plan. So, and I just spoke to my
Yeah.
friend actually who had a baby a couple of weeks ago
Hmm.
up in Northern California, and she basically had the same birth plan as me, and then and then ended up just having her doula on FaceTime, and she said it actually in the hospital worked out really well, and she had a great
Okay.
time. So, or she had a great experience. So, I
That's
think
really
I'm
encouraging, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so like I keep getting tagged in so many really intense, like terrible horror stories up right now, and I'm just like, first of all, if you know a pregnant woman right now, do not tag them in something that's like that you haven't read, and like
Yeah.
it's potentially really scary. And then there's also a lot of stories that I've heard just anecdotally from friends that it's fine. And I've literally three friends that have given birth in the last 3 weeks,
Mm.
because when you're pregnant, you suddenly are friends with everybody who's pregnant all, all of a sudden. And they've all had, I mean, they've all had really good experiences in the hospital. So I think that we're just hoping that things go smoothly and we don't have to stay very long.
Well, and that's really a great, like, hopeful message because so many people are so anxious and scared and don't know anybody who has gone through this in the last few weeks. So the fact that, you do know people that have had successes and even though it hasn't been what they anticipated, it's still gone well. That's a really encouraging thing to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody, like I was talking to my husband last night and just about like the potential that the baby could be separated. And he was
Hmm.
like, the last thing they want to do is separate. Like that's like the last
Yeah.
thing that anyone wants to do. So it's just I
Hmm.
think like we have to remember that we're all, whether it's midwives or nurses or OBs, like everybody wants the mom and the baby to be safe. Like it's
Sure.
just like that, and it's just different paths to the same place. I spoke to I did speak to two home birth midwives when all of
Hmm.
this started, just to kind of get information about that, and like I feel like it's all everybody's just working really hard to make it safe and as stress free as it can be at this moment.
You're like, as it can.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's just always so many unknowns, and now it's so exacerbated that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Little topped off. So what are you going to do the next couple of days while you're waiting? Are you guys going to try to be working on inducing labor at home?
I mean, kind of. I feel like it's all. I don't want to say it's all like a bunch of crap, but like I feel like the baby's gonna come when the baby's gonna come. Like I'm like bouncing on the ball. Yesterday I was bouncing on the ball, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, is this really gonna make the baby come out? And then people are like, eat spicy food, and um, there's all these things. I'm definitely
Stand on
not
your
gonna.
head.
Yeah, I'm definitely not gonna drink castor oil.
You.
That's, have you heard about that one? That's gross.
No,
And
that's
I'm not gonna do
nasty.
that. Yeah, no, it's really gross. There's so many like, but no, I just hope I have a really strong feeling he's gonna come. Like early next week is my, I don't know, but who knows?
I hope you're right.
So yeah, we're just. I'm like I don't want to get induced at the end of all this. I'm like just come
Yeah.
out.
Hmm. For sure. Oh,
He's already big, so
don't you see he has a big
but
head?
yeah, he has a big head. So I'm like I don't want his head to grow any bigger than it already is.
I have a really strong history
Yeah,
of
no, we're
calling
just
people
trying to. I
wild.
mean, sorry, you cut out for a sec. You have a really
No,
strong.
I said I have a really strong history of calling people in labor, like while they're laboring, and just decide that's what
Oh,
I'm calling. So I'll just start like putting you on speed dial and just keep like repeatedly calling you until
yeah.
you don't answer, and I'll know.
Well, it's so funny because people have been calling me and texting me and being like,
Hmm.
how are you feeling? Or like it's so I'm like, I haven't had the baby yet. Like you'll know. And so I'm like, I feel
There'll
like
be
my mom
photos.
calls me like every day at the same time. Yeah, I'm like, I promise you'll know when I have the baby. It's really funny. But yeah, no, it's so surreal. Like I was thinking last night when I was going to bed that like at the maximum I'm gonna be pregnant for like a week and a half more in my
Yeah.
life. Like it's or maybe a little bit more than that. So it's just nuts. Like and I really I really feel I read this book called Strong as a Mother
Okay.
when we were in Hawaii on and it was all about like unraveling birth plans and how nothing ever goes as planned and you really have to just like surrender to the moment, which at that
Hmm.
point meant like they were like, if you get a C-section instead of a natural, I mean, it was very
Yeah.
specific to
Not
the
about a pandemic.
moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
not about a pandemic, it's real. I feel like it's really helped me at this point because there's just so many things that I thought I was going to be able to do to get ready that I'm just, like one by one have just fell by the wayside. So it's
Well,
it's really
see,
a practice in letting go. Yeah.
something we're not very good at.
No. And it's funny because that's like the whole yoga practice is like learn how to let go, like offer it into the fire. And I'm like, I'm really bad at this.
You're gonna have so much compassion for everybody else
Uh,
after this.
yeah, I'm like, if you can birth in a pandemic, like you can do anything. I
For
was just
sure.
listening to Henry Rollins just released like a 4 hour long form cool in quarantine show for KCRW if you're a music nerd. It's really good. Um, but the very beginning, he was like, this is not a bad time. This is a tough time. And we're tough. Like, I'm tough. You're tough. Like, we're meant to deal with tough times. I was like, I like that.
It's a good message.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
What were some other resources that you were like, do you have other resource books that you would recommend that to people that maybe they're reading here, like you're home, you're pregnant, maybe you're not due this month, but you're due in a couple of months. Do you have any resources you would recommend to people that you found have helped you with like redu your own stress reduction, whether it's a book or a class or a show or anything?
that's a great question. There's so many things. First of all, I just finished Ali Wong's Dear Girls, her
Okay.
book to her daughters. It's not like a pregnancy book per se, but it's really a sweet book about becoming a mom and being a mom and just she's so funny and both of her Netflix specials, Baby Cobra and the other one are incredible. If you're just I mean just anytime she's so funny and Amy Schumer's uh, pregnancy special on Netflix also is awesome. They're so funny. I love them. And I tend to like more things like that more than like, this is how you are a parent. Because I read
Yeah.
like the happiest baby on the block. And I read like some of those books that are just like, this is how you change a diaper. And I mean, I feel like you can get that anywhere. The another book I really like is called The First 40 Days, which is all about postpartum and
Okay.
uh, really taking that time. And now with quarantine, it's much easier to take the
Mhm.
first 40 days, but just really like learning how to lay low and nurture yourself as the mother. And it's kind of like part cookbook, part like philosophy on that time.
Mhm.
And then also so everybody, I have a prenatal yoga class that's available on my YouTube channel, Yoga with Debbie, that's free, and it's an hour long. And I really like it. I've actually been doing my own class. I like, not to sound weird, but like I like that class. And then I also have been taking my prenatal teacher, she's Jane Austen Yoga, not Jane Austen writer, Jane Austen Yoga on Instagram, and she's been doing prenatal classes or pre and postnatal classes 4 days a
Mhm.
week on Zoom. So that's been awesome. And then our doula Emily has been doing a parent support call on
Okay.
Fridays. Actually, it's right now, so I'll hop on that after. But she it's pregnant and postnatal moms come on and
Okay.
just basically talk about whatever.
Everything.
And then also I'm like, there's so many things. My other friend Britt Foreman, who's a doula in San Francisco, she also offers online yoga pre and post natal, and then
Mhm.
a mom support group too. So I've been just trying to get on as many
Yeah.
calls and be around other women virtually as much as I can.
So that's great
So
because a lot of women that I've been speaking to, we just, it's kind of like this feeling of like being alone. Like they were so used to going to in-person classes. And now, like,
yeah.
there's just been so many feelings of just where do I go to get support and feeling of community and talk to other moms that are, or pregnant moms that are going through the same thing. And that's part of why I wanted to talk to you because I feel like there's so many people with stories to share. And if
Mm-hmm.
everyone was sharing stories kind of more collectively, then people would feel less alone and realize that they have other people to reach out to and make a new friend virtually. I mean, one of the best things about
Yeah.
this, and I think you already kind of nailed this on the head, is virtual time doesn't mean that you only have to be going to classes and stuff in your community. You mentioned
Mm-hmm.
a yoga instructor in San Francisco, and I know you got probably a yoga instructor in, Santa Cruz that you use, and like these are things that are available, and I think that is this is opening up the world to us a little bit more that this is possible. I have a new patient from Chicago
Yeah,
right
no,
now. It's
it's
like,
wild. I mean, I feel like I was just talking to my friend who's a yoga teacher yesterday, and she was like, "Yeah, all my students who moved to the East Coast can suddenly take my classes again because like she's like I'm seeing these people that I haven't seen in so long." A few other resources too that I just remembered is
mhm,
locally the pump station
okay,
in Santa Monica, but all of their classes are now virtual, and we took Kevin and I, my husband and I, have taken their birth prep, their baby care, first aid, and breastfeeding classes. And then the
okay,
last two classes, the first aid and breastfeeding, we took virtually, and they were great. They're doing all their classes on Zoom. They have mommy and me groups. They have like free music story time groups, and they're also doing like delivery. They deliver all over. So if you want
okay,
to avoid Amazon and just support
yeah.
local, they like really could use the support because I really want them to get through this. They're like an amazing local business and have been super supportive. And then speaking of yoga in Santa Cruz, my friend Hana Muse also, she does Zoom classes. And
Hmm.
I took her pre and postnatal class, and it was like my friend Nayara down the street in Santa Cruz
Hmm.
was in the class, or in Santa Monica was in the class. And then there's all these friends from Santa Cruz. And I was like, this is awesome. It's like a village. So yeah, I mean, feel free, mamas out there, if you want to DM me, I can send you like a list of things to do because I feel
Hmm.
like I've because I'm in this world, I feel like I get a lot of the updates. So
Well, maybe that's something that we could
if
do
they're,
after this is if you wanted to put together like a list of your favorite resources, then that's something that
oh
we could
yeah,
post as a follow-up. That would be awesome because then we could actually
yeah,
post that and they
yeah.
could, and then hopefully after, pregnancy, we'll do another, if after pregnancy, choose after you deliver. I can't talk anymore, people.
No, it is
Um,
after pregnancy.
yeah, after that too, then we can talk about maybe your experience if you're willing, and we can talk with Embo and maybe have a little discussion about what happened, and so people can find out how this actually went down for you, and hopefully it all goes really well.
Yeah, no, I'd love to do that. Thanks for being such an integral part of all of this and for supporting all the moms. It's incredible to see everyone. I mean, it's like you and just all my yoga friends and everyone just like
Mm.
completely have to do a huge pivot in business and like come out crushing it. So
Yeah.
it's
Well, hopefully we all
yeah,
will, but
yeah.
thank God for technology.
Seriously, I know.
Can you
Yeah,
imagine
think
trying to do this like 20 years ago? Like it just wouldn't even be possible.
we would be like writing each other letters.
Snail mail.
Yeah, or like we'd be on a rotary phone. Oh my God.
Oh my
Was
God.
that 20 years ago? No, that was
A rotary phone? No, that was like a
no,
handheld. That was like the handheld, cordless phones like 20
cordless
years ago,
phone.
I
Yeah,
think.
when I had my
Yeah.
own phone line and my phone was like neon.
I think I had a pager, to be honest.
I never had a pager. I never had a pager or a BlackBerry. I always I had the like Terry Bradshaw Sex and the City pink Razor flip phone. That was my phone for a long time.
Does not surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
please
Oh, I was gonna say I
go.
watched
Yeah.
I was gonna say I watched the episode of Sex and the City yesterday where Miranda has her baby. It's the last episode of season 4. If you're pregnant, you should definitely watch that episode. It's really funny. It's a good
You're
lighthearted thing for right now.
you're gonna be ready for trivia. We'll just bring the
Yeah.
baby with us to trivia,
To-
like right after.
Totally.
Well, hey,
Um,
go jump on your call. I know you've got another call, with Embo, so go jump on that. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
thank
And
you.
I will talk to you very soon.
Thank you so much, Heidi. This was awesome. I'll talk to you
Oh,
soon.
bye. Love you.
Bye. Love you too.